Okay, lesson 2.2 is on ratios and proportions. In this section, you will learn to compare ratios and also solve proportions. Vocabulary include ratio, proportion, means, extremes, rate, unit rate, and scale model. Okay, so first thing we want to be able to do with ratios is be able to tell if they are equivalent. If they are equivalent, that would be called a proportion. So looking at this, 7 over 8 and 49 over 56. If I think about this, if I multiply 7 by 7, I get that 49. And if I multiply 8 by 7, I also get 56. So because I do the same operation to the top and to the bottom, it is a proportion. Okay. We can also use the means and extremes property of proportion to tell whether or not they are equal. So if we're looking at this, A and D are called the extremes, whereas B and C are called the means. So if I have A times D and it's equal to B times C, then those ratios are going to be equal. So for example, 2 over 4 and 1/2, we know that 2 over 4 is 1/2, but if we were to do this 2 times 2, my means, 2 times 2, I get 4. And if I do my means, 4 times 1, I also get 4. So those are equivalent ratios. So if we were to use the cross products here, that's called the cross product, when you do your means times your extreme, multiply your means together and your extremes together. Okay, so if we use the cross product to determine whether a pair of ratios below is a proportion, we're going to do 2.25 times 2, and that is 0.5, and then I'm doing 0.6 times 1.25, which is 0.75. So because these are not equal, then the proportion, it's not a proportion. Okay. So doing the same thing here, we're going to determine, so our cross products, I'm doing 2 times 20, and I get 40, and 2.5 times 16 is also 40. So 2 times 20 is equal to 2.5 times 16. Okay, so 40 equals 40, so this is a proportion. Okay. We can also use cross products to solve a proportion. So they're telling us that, in this case, that they are equal, and we want to know what n is. So we're doing our extremes, n times 8, or 8n, times our means, so 12 times 3. So we get 8n equals 36, divide both sides by 8, and we get n equals 4.5. Okay, and that's solved. Now we know n. So again, using them to solve our proportions, we have to be careful here. Whenever you have a fraction, it's implied that everything in the numerator is part of like the same group. So when I do this, I'm doing 4 times the whole product, x plus 4, and then times my means, 12 times 3. So I get 4x plus 16, doing the distributive property, and 12 times 3 is 36. I subtract 16, and I get 4x equals 20. So divide both sides by 4, and x is 5. Okay. For example 4, it says the ratio of a gear on a bike is 8 to 5. This means that for every 8 turns of the pedals, the wheel turns 5 times. So when we're doing word problems, it's nice to line up what it is. So like on top, we're going to keep pedals, and on the bottoms, we're going to keep wheels. So they say for every 8 turns of the pedal, the wheel turns 5 times. Okay, so they're saying suppose the bicycle wheel turns about 2,435. So I'm going to set up a proportion because it's going to be keeping the same proportion. And I'm lining it up. They're talking about the wheels. So I'm going to keep it on the bottom with the other wheel. And they want to know how many times the pedal is going to turn. So I'm going to call that P. So to solve this proportion, I'm doing 8 times 2, 4, 3, 5. And it's going to be equal to 5 times P. Okay, so 8 times that thing is 19480 equals 5p. To get p by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And when I do that, I get 3896 is my p. So the pedal will have to turn 3,896 times in order for the wheel to turn 2,435 times. Okay, and our last example is on a road atlas, the scale for the map of Connecticut is 5 inches to 41 miles. So again, 5 inches, 41 miles. I'm going to keep things lined up. So inches and miles. Okay, and they're going to say, what is the distance in miles represented by 2.5 inches or 2.5 inches? So again, I'm going to keep inches together. And I want to know what it is on the map. So I'm going to call it in. Okay, or for miles. So my extremes, 5 times m is 5m times my means, so 41 times 2.5. I get 5m equals 102.5. I divide both sides by 5, and I get m equals 20.5 miles. Okay, and that is it for this section. So I will scroll through. If you guys are feeling confident, you may stop here.